This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
You all ready for this? Mm-hmm. Dun, 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 dun.
No.
Y'all,
Just
stop.
This is a sham. Welcome to DBL. Happy Tuesday, everybody, and it's a special day, huh?
Two.
I thought you would be all over this.
On a Tuesday. Isn't this crazy? Very auspicious day if you think 2 is lucky. Last time it happened, Warren G. Harding was president, 18th president.
Why would that be lucky?
I'm just saying a part of history.
Okay, fun fact. Now, Erica, I know that you are into things outside of things we can see. Is this a day that you would do? Would you play the lottery or anything today?
I mean, you could. I just think that it's a day of evolution. Like, things change. There's, like, not a lot of consistency, and it could be a good thing or a bad thing.
Whoa. That's every day.
No, it's a little bit more. There's a little bit more power in the universe
like
today.
A full moon.
I'm trusting Erica. Trusting Erica. All right, let's get to it. Britney Spears. that was great, Tori.
Thanks.
Clip that.
Thanks. Okay.
Britney Spears has reportedly landed a $15 million book deal. So multiple sources say Britney signed with the publishing powerhouse Simon & Schuster. It's her first big deal since being released from her conservatorship 3 months ago. It also comes on the heels of her sister Jamie Lynn's book, of course, which Britney criticized and said was being sold at her expense. Britney's deal is one of the biggest ever. So the Obamas, if you remember, reportedly got $60 million for their books. Wow. And Bill Clinton also received $15 for his post-presidential memoir. Let's stick with the Britneys. Let's stick with the Britneys, with the Spearses, I should say.
But didn't that show you how famous she is, though? That she's mentioned in the same breath as those people?
I think because she was under that conservatorship, and I didn't mean to go first, but I will. This is her first time to speak, so why not put it all on paper?
Good point.
Well, first of all, I'm surprised that it wasn't more. I think that if this would have been a man in this position, it would have commanded more. I think Britney Spears commands more than $15 million for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Also, Britney has made it very clear that she has no problems saying names, saying facts, giving all the information. So she's going to go all in on this. I think that book is worth more than $15 million.
Well, the ex-president of our country is a man, and he got $15 million back then, which doesn't equate to $15 million now. So that's actually less that he's making, right?
No, I think that in this, I'm not talking about what happened then. I'm talking about, because also remember, during Bill Clinton's presidency, we didn't have the type of social media impact that we have now. So the idea that social media has completely been taken over by Britney talk for years at this point means something, and I think it's a far more quantifiable than $15 million.
I have to agree with Erica here. When I heard the number, I first thought it was 50, and I'm not crazy to say. I was like, oh wow, she got a great deal, because I knew the Obamas had gotten 60. The point is leverage. Right now, everybody on earth wants to know what Britney has to say, and we've been waiting with bated breath. The timing couldn't be better. $15 million feels like Leo could have gotten it for a Tarantino film. I feel like she has more. I'm sorry to say, I agree with Erica. I thought this story is so hot. We've been talking about it for how many years, and now she's going to explode in this tell-all book. You know how many millions of books she'll sell?
Maybe someone could check real fast. What did Meghan and Harry get for their sit-down with Oprah?
Oh, we'll find out.
I'd like to know that number. But what do you think about Al? I thought it was a big number.
I did too, but this is why, this is a talk show, and this is also a listening show, and I really had not thought about that, because I was like, well, let's just talk about DBL. When this book drops, we know we're going to get our packet. The most explosive headlines we're going to do those probably every week. There's going to be, Britney said this about her dad. We will have our first story, our A-block story will jump off of that probably. So she is going to not only be driving the narrative with her book, but also controlling media outlets and making sure that's what they talk about. So Simon & Schuster is going to make sure that their name's attached to every time. She said in her book, blah, 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 that's an advertisement for selling her book. So I think, I just hadn't thought about that, so thank you guys. I really do think she just straight the negotiations, I think she came in really low.
Now, here's the thing that we're not talking about are options. You know, can this possibly be spun off to, a movie, any type of other deal, licensing?
Sure.
So, I mean, ultimately, she probably will come away with more of like in the hundreds of millions range. But I think that in the beginning, you're just like, okay.
All right, so just that number, CBS got paid, I believe, $7 million for the rights to that story, is what I'm hearing.
With Meghan and Harry?
Yes.
Okay.
But Harry and Meghan weren't paid?
No, they weren't paid for the interview.
Yeah, it wasn't a deal where it was money to talk.
Oh, so they didn't get anything for that interview?
No, that was made clear, yeah.
Well, then how come you didn't jump in when I asked that?
Because I want to make sure.
Sitting up here making everyone do research. All right. It looks like there is no bad blood between Aaron Rodgers and his former fiancée, Shailene Woodley. Aaron posted this pic thanking her for being a part of his life, having his back, and for showing him what unconditional love looks like. The two ended their year-long engagement last week. Listen, I'm thinking he's just being a good guy here. Do you guys think different? You think he's trying to get her back?
Oh, I don't think. I don't know, but I think to me there's nothing but what I've seen is a really loving, mature relationship between those two, even when there were really big differences and that was very publicly viewed. I thought they've handled their relationship quite maturely. We don't know what happened, but there's been no bad blood, and I thought, you always talk about it doesn't need to be a war. And it doesn't seem like it is with these two. Now, maybe that's a ploy, but it felt just warm to me. I mean,
I've learned a lot from this young woman next to me in terms of, like, when you told me we were here, this is like a couple seasons ago, and you said that your ex-husband was here to pick up something, the storage locker or something. And I was like, you guys are so cool. And you were like, yeah. And who knew years later I would be divorced, and now me and my ex-wife are closer than we've ever been. It's not always like this, but when you guys are both mutually done but leave with respect for each other and leave with your own dignity, not leaving where like you guys had a bunch of embarrassing fights at Thanksgiving and in the car and in front of your kids, like I think this is the way, this should be the model for how a relationship ends. Hey, didn't work out full time, but we're still here.
Yeah, and thank you.
Nobody's thinking this is a plea, like maybe we could work things out? Nobody's on that page?
Well, if it is, I think that it's going to be, whatever's happening behind the scenes will be as private as how the relationship started. They were never the couple that was out in the streets trying to, hashtag their name or get
liking
more
each other's
publicity.
Posts on social media.
It's like they seem like a very, that's probably
down to earth.
Probably somewhere in Wisconsin. That's what I imagine them being like. We're at a log cabin in Wisconsin. That's where we just bunker.
All right, well, if it is like that, I'm happy for them. All right, Molly Ringwald's real life just took a page from her hit movie 16 Candles. So Molly recently posted a text exchange between she and her mother where her mom apparently forgot her birthday. So in the text, Molly asks her mom, "That's it? You don't have anything else to say to me today?" Her mom then responded saying she didn't realize it was the 18th and that her present will be in the mail soon. Well, this played out almost exactly as the scene in 16 Candles. Let's watch.
You can eat your carrots when you get home.
That's it? You don't have anything else to say to me today?
What would you like me to say, Sam? Come on now, honey, you're gonna miss the bus.
Aha! I just put it together. That's why she wrote that. Yeah, that's why she wrote that. Did you know that from the text? You remembered that line from 16 Candles?
No, I just remembered the actual conversation was like, you don't remember anything more? And then to have that happen in real life is just very funny. Also very sad. I've seen this happen to people. It's very harsh.
What's that?
When your parents forget your birthday.
But some people, your brain doesn't work like that.
What do you mean?
I don't remember birthdays. I have to have weird mnemonic devices.
Dude, I get panicky.
Yes.
I had to go pick something up for my wife yesterday, and they're like, "What's your wife's birthday?" And I was like, froze like I was busted in a DUI, and I was like, "Oh, 86." It was somewhere in 86, and I don't know why same thing with my son's birthday. When they ask me, there's so many numbers with my son, my wife, I kind of freeze and I forget for a second.
Yeah, I get very panicked about people's birthdays because I know that people expect me to remember all the time. I also don't think it's necessarily fair because my birthday is on a holiday.
Yeah.
So everyone's always, "I remember your birthday," and I'm like, "It's Valentine's Day." But okay. Especially in the past 2 years, it has been so incredibly difficult to remember because you don't even know what day it is.
Yeah, time is warped.
I don't know what day it is. So I've just been like, I'm sorry. Forget, it's my mind, not my heart. Just forget
Is the bigger question, does it mean as much for somebody to remember your birthday now that there's Facebook? Because pre-Facebook, there were people that just like would call and be like, "It's your birthday," and you're like, "How'd you know that?"
Yeah.
Like now it's kind of like you're forced to know.
Yeah, but now people have been sneaky and they take it off. So I'm like, okay, well, don't get a bottle of wine. I don't
All right, coming up on DBL, our interview with the amazing Apolo Ohno. What does he think about this year's Winter Games? Very interesting. And Lamar Odom's message for Khloe Kardashian on Celebrity Big Brother. Find out what he said coming up next. That's a good one.
Yeah,
I think it's weird that like you guys can't remember birthdays. Actually, I forgot my friend's birthday yesterday.
It's like when you're put on the spot, and then I have my kid's birthday, and my other kid's birthday.
What's your anniversary?
And then
do you have that one down?
I think it's March 16th. Because I just looked at it.
Do you guys know he doesn't know for sure?
Neither does my wife.
Neither does his
It
wife.
is March 16th.
March 16th?
It's such a strange.
They don't know if it's the 15th. It's so.
No, I get confused every year, but I got it right.
Okay, the 16th. That's good.
But the guy, so when I had to go get my badge yesterday, the guy goes, "When did you start working here? What year?" And I go,
"Oh God."
I don't know. I got 17 because my son was born in 16 and we came here, so it was after that. But this is what goes through my head. I'm like, I get nervous. Like, I don't know why.
I don't.
I don't know. It's like I have
thing.
this panic button in my head. When I'm holding like a Cosmo Martini or something that's filled too much, I get PTSD of my waiter days, and I like can't hold it because I feel like I'm gonna drop it. And then when someone asks me a birthday, I'm like on the spot because as soon as I get it wrong, someone's like, "You don't love your son?" And it's like,
well, I don't know if I told you. It's like I think I have a real anxiety thing with people's names.
Yeah, I don't remember names.
Especially like at parties.
If you say, "I'm Kim," I'm like, I don't know what your name is.
But it's my bigger thing is like when it's like, okay, if I saw David, our stage manager, at a party and his girl's with him. How much time? Like I know her name, but then put on the spot, I would panic, and then I feel like every second I'm hesitating, it looks bad.
I see what you're saying.
You know?
Do you know what Ellen DeGeneres has a joke when she's like, if you don't know someone's name, just be like, "Hey, remind me how you spell your name again." And she said she did that, and someone was like, K-I-M.
Yeah.
She's like, it's just Kim. It's not Kim. Okay, it's not two I's. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard, but I think people know that technique.
They do. Yeah, you're right.
So it's hard.
No, maybe.
That's like a real anxiety.
Yeah, that's first day.
Welcome back to DBL. It's the end of the road for Lamar Odom on Celebrity Big Brother. Lamar was evicted from the show along with different stroke star Todd Bridges in last night's very exciting double elimination episode. So during his time on the show, Lamar wasn't shy about saying how much he missed his ex-wife Khloe Kardashian. And then after his eviction, he told host Julie Chen Moonves that he hoped to see Khloe soon. I'm surprised this is something, people aren't talking about this a little bit more, because I've been a fan, obviously, of Celebrity Big Brother. He's mentioned it in multiple episodes and talked about it in the house.
People are talking about it. We're just sick of hearing about it.
Why?
Because, I mean, like, at this point, leave Khloe alone, y'all.
Totally agree.
Like, if you can't act right when you amidst it, like, let's leave the girl alone, okay? It's over. It is over. She flew to the Bunny Ranch to get you. She was by your side. You still didn't want to act right. It's like, what is about, is she like the revolving door? And I feel like what is this?
And I also feel like he brings her up to get like eyeballs on him and for women to get fans, because Khloe has moved on to Tristan and had a whole other scandal and drama. This is like so long ago. I'm like, are you bringing it up to make yourself relevant?
Listen, let me take up for Lamar, Al, and then I want to hear from you for real fast.
Please.
The interview was very telling, and I got to see a side of Lamar that I hadn't watching the show. And he said he's been sober for 7 years, okay? That's something that he works on. He said he's been resurrected into his new life. He's got a second chance at life. So what's wrong wrong with, he didn't plead for her. He wasn't saying, Khloe, I really want you. He was saying, listen, I made some mistakes in my past and I want to right those wrongs. Is there anything wrong with a man trying to fix what happened in his past because he's got a new shot at life?
Right. He's bringing her into the conversation without her consent, though.
But I mean, I don't know about her consent. But I mean, she is a part of his life, or was, and he can speak about it, and he can speak about it regretfully. I think a lot of men sit, especially when you've had a tumultuous past, cleaned yourself up, and now you have clear vision of what you did. It's not clouded by any other substances, and you know how you acted. It wears on you, and no one talks about that. You can have fun and cheat when you want to and make it a public thing, and like, I don't care, and block her on Facebook, but when all the dust settles and a couple years have gone by and you look and you see that they're okay and you know how you treat, like that's that part inside that eats you alive, and I think it's doing it for him now.
I respect that, but I also respect the idea of leaving people alone.
Yeah, I agree.
This is not the first platform that he has brought her name up. It's not the first platform that he has voiced his contrition. There comes a time when it's like, okay, now, why don't you do this in private? Why don't you send these messages in private? Why does it always have to be a public platform? If it's not a blog, then it's a radio station. It's not a radio station, then it's television. You know, it's reality TV. It's like, it's too much.
It feels like clout to me.
It's too much. I would not be comfortable with this, no matter how poorly someone treated me and how many times they wanted to say I'm sorry.
And their sister's going through it as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, take it behind closed doors.
By the way, I watched the first episode of that Kanye doc. Very interesting. Very interesting.
I'm getting on it.
Totally just threw that out there. Coming up on DBL, 8-time medal winner Apolo Ohno. What does he think about this year's Winter Games? You can find out next.
This was...
Americans ate almost 4 times more avocados in 2019 than they did in 2000. Demand for guac and even avocado toast is soaring. 80% of our avocado supply comes from Mexico this season, but the U.S. imposed a nearly week-long ban on avocados from Mexico after a U.S. agriculture inspector received a credible death threat. This prompted headlines and fears of an avocado shortage. So let's verify. Is there currently an avocado shortage in the U.S.? Our sources are the International Fresh Produce Association, Chipotle, and agriculture data analytics firm AgTools. Mexico has ideal conditions for avocados most of the year, and it's the world's largest exporter of the fruit. Commercial buyers like grocery stores and restaurants typically purchase avocados well in advance, and the International Fresh Produce Association says grocery stores are not experiencing a shortage. Chipotle echoed that by telling Verify, quote, "Our sourcing partners currently have several weeks of inventory available." So it's false that there's currently an avocado shortage in the United States, although it's possible we could see some supply issues in the next few weeks. AgTools says many avocados that were harvested just before the ban are now too ripe to ship. At the same time, some farmers were wary of harvesting their crops during the ban, so it'll take a few days to catch up. This could result in higher prices and limited availability. We're also approaching the harvest season for avocados that were grown elsewhere, like Southern California, which will help with the supply. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Welcome back. Who can forget Apolo Ohno's historic run at 3 Olympic Winter Games? The speed skater picked up 8 medals in his career, making him the most decorated U.S. Winter Olympian ever. So what did he say and what did he think about this year's Winter Games? Well, have a look for yourself.
Great to see you. Glad that you're here. So what were your overall impressions about the Olympics? Was it, in your opinion, overall a success or a failure?
Well, the games were a success. I think that we would obviously like to have seen many more medals. I think that we would love to have seen fans and family in the audience and in the stadiums. So from that perspective, it was a very different games, not unlike what we saw in Tokyo. And this is a different time. There's obviously a lot of geopolitical tension between the U.S. and China.
Yes.
And just the coverage is challenging because of the time zone. So there's a lot of these kind of unforeseen circumstances and things outside the control that I think would have definitely made the games much different. I know firsthand when you walk into the opening ceremony and there's thousands of people cheering, and there it feels different. And so when you have a muted games like we saw, it doesn't detract away from the performance of the athletes because we know how badly that they've trained and how much they want to have and achieve the results that they're seeking. But I think overall, from an experiential component, we at home, I don't know if we felt the same type of kind of unification and camaraderie and solidarity that we typically have associated with these types of Olympics. So there was a change. I think that's very clear.
Beautifully said.
Wow. My first question is, did you, Apollo, age at all? Oh, no, you didn't. Jeff dared me to say it.
Very nice. There needs to be an Apollo Instagram filter.
He looks fantastic. Everyone's talking about it on YouTube.
He's going backwards.
You're going Paul Rudding. You're Paul Rudding is exactly right.
No, see, this is the power of social. I've got so many filters on here. You don't even want to know what I really.
He's like, I'm not even Apolo Ohno.
Yeah, exactly.
I do want to ask you, sorry to switch from being hilarious to this. We saw the Russian coach, or the Russian Olympic Committee coach, let's be honest, be very hard on 15-year-old figure skater Kamila Valieva after she fell. Do you think coaches are too tough on young athletes? And did you have a similar experience because you were young, a young speed skater, and we've had this discussion on and on. We'd love your thoughts on this.
I was 14 years old when I made my first team. I mean, that entire circumstance is really sad, right? You've got a 15-year-old girl who has a teddy bear, who is having the world watch and place these pressures, and you've got media making opinions and exporting their belief on what should and shouldn't be done. It's just a really challenging situation. She's an incredible skater, beautiful, classic, the way that she skates. And, you know, I think also there's a cultural difference. Man, you guys want all the smoke with these hard questions.
Yeah. He said you were cute. Sorry. Interesting.
Well, you're doing a great job answering them. I do want to applaud you for that, Apollo. Yes.
And
thank you.
I just have to get to your book because you are talking about something I feel like everybody is going to have to deal with at some point in their adult life from now going forward. And it's the difficult transition that you faced moving to the real world. First of all, is this something that a lot of Olympians face? And like, how would you tell people to get ready to transition and make that hard pivot into a different line of work?
I think hard pivot is a critical piece of change, but as we know, behavioral change is really challenging, right? That's why I've always said, like, January 1st New Year's resolutions are so hard to stick to because it enacts change and discipline and things that are uncomfortable. I would say majority of Olympic athletes really struggle with transitioning from one identity that has been given to them and that they were told and gotten all these affirmations. This is what you're good at. This is what your purpose is. This is what we'll celebrate you for. And that's in the form of your parents, your loved ones, your community, the fans, the coaches. That was a great lap, Apollo. Good job. You're so good. And then when all that is done, those are guardrails. Those guardrails that we have maybe in your current career path, all of a sudden when you decide to do something different by force or by choice, they go flat. And then you no longer know, you don't have that same support system that's there to tell you that this is your purpose, to tell you this is why you're here on Earth. And sometimes it can feel very lonely, very cold, and very isolated. And so the book's intention is to let people know, one, they're not alone. Two, there is multiple paths to perceiving what these challenges and difficulties are and transforming them into opportunities for you to grow and hopefully realign with your true north and your purpose, which, you know, is hopefully the silver lining of COVID, right? There's tons and tons of trauma that all of us have faced over the past 2 years. But within that trauma is the silver lining to understand that we are going to embrace change, we're going to adapt to it, and we're going to move forward, hopefully, in a better version of ourselves than we are today. And that's really what
reinvent.
I love it.
I love it. 2024.
Quite an inspirational book. Apollo, thank you so much for joining us. And to our viewers, Apollo's book, Hard Pivot, is out. For details, go to ApoloOhno.com. We'll be right back.
We're sorry for Tori.
Sorry.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
and people on social media have pointed out the lack of black figure skaters that competed in this year's Winter Olympics. In fact, Canadian figure skater Vanessa James was the only one. People on social media have questioned why there are so few black athletes in the sport. On a recent episode of Big Brother, contestant and Olympic figure skater Mirai Nagasu claimed that black figure skaters were once barred from competing in the U.S. But is that true? Let's verify. Were black athletes in the U.S. once banned from competing in figure skating? Our sources are U.S. Figure Skating, the International Olympic Committee, and Joe Velasco, board member at the Diversity Ice Fellowship and Foundation. In the United States, two main levels of competition for figure skaters are the national circuit and the Olympics. U.S. Figure Skating says Mirai got it wrong. In an email to Verify, the organization said there is no history of an official rule banning black athletes. Instead, they said, quote, widespread societal segregation in the first half of the 1900s often prevented black people from entering many businesses, including having access to ice skating rinks, unquote. The International Olympic Committee told Verify, quote, there has never been a stipulation in the Olympic Charter that black athletes were not allowed to participate in any sport at the Olympic Games, unquote. So we can verify, no. Black athletes in the U.S. were never banned from competing in figure skating. But still, for the last 100 years, skating has been an ethically homogenous sport.
While there have been all these, wonderful black and brown skaters, they're just too few and far between.
Atoy Wilson was the first black figure skater to compete on the U.S. circuit in the early 1960s. And Debbie Thomas was the first black figure skater to compete at the Olympics for Team USA. Thomas won bronze at the 1988 Games. U.S. Figure Skating told Verify that it's working toward creating opportunities for athletes of color and making the sport more welcoming and equitable to all. With your Verify, I'm Adiande Till.
Quickly, this is what a non-fungible token, or NFT, is. It's a digital file, so an image, a sound, or video. The creator then adds another layer of computer code to it, and that code then registers the file on the ledger of the internet, a system called the blockchain. Now, this allows a user to prove this is a unique file, and that uniqueness creates value for an NFT. Some of these sell for thousands, even millions of dollars. So can the IRS tax them? To Verify, we went to the IRS and Amy Miller, a certified public accountant who specializes in virtual currency. So NFTs are bought and sold as collectibles or investments, and because they're recorded on the web's ledger, the blockchain, there's a record of the transactions. The IRS has yet to give a definitive label to NFTs on its website, but that doesn't mean they can't be taxed. The agency explains, quote, virtual currency is treated as property, and general tax principles applicable to property transactions apply to transactions using virtual currency. In other words, even though NFTs aren't defined by code and are strictly digital assets, they're still taxed just like physical assets.
The IRS has a question at the top of the Form 1040 asking, at any time during 2021, did you receive, sell, exchange, or otherwise dispose of any financial interest in any virtual currency? And taxpayers are required to answer yes or no to that question.
So we can verify, yes, you have to pay taxes if you sold an NFT and made a profit.
Welcome back to DBL. So we're talking a little bit more about Britney's memoir or tell-all book for $15 million. How much would you sell your tell-all for?
Oh, you couldn't afford it.
I would read a Tory book.
I'm kidding. I would do it for very, very little. But again, the leverage she has at this moment, you probably couldn't even buy. So if you have a good lawyer, a good agent, you can get top dollar. And I just don't think 15 is enough.
$1,500 for yours?
Maybe like $1.50.
All right, no, more than that. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Same time, same place.